Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me. If you'd like to support my channel, please check the link above to my Patreon page. I'm here with round 4 of a modern competitive league. I'm currently sitting at 2-1. I beat Goblins, then I lost painfully to Jund, and then I beat the Merfolk Mirror against a good friend. So I'm here for round 4. It looks like I was on the play. And, have to mulligan. But I'm going to keep this. It's super sketchy, but we get a scry. The opponent kept 7, so that guy is going straight to the bottom. Be gone, Lord of Atlantis. Name Merfolk, play AEther Vial, win the game. Hey, Arbor Elf. It's Ponza. I've been telling a lot of people recently that I believe that this is our best matchup. Just so many different things line up well. They play like 3 or 4 main deck Blood Moons, which does nothing against us. They play 4 Utopia Sprawls, which we can 3-for-1 them with Spreading Seas. Especially with Tidebinder Mage in the sideboard, it's just like sort of obscenely in our favor. But if I don't draw any lands, then things are going to go really, really poorly for me. Oh my god. I drew a land. I'm so happy. All right, I'm going to reveal Reejerey because I don't want to reveal my tricky Harbinger. And I drew another land, so this hand is fully online. All I want is some Spreading Seas at this point. Am I going to bait a Blood Moon right now? That would be amazing. I love it. Blood Moon is so bad against AEther Vial. It also happens to be bad against basic islands. The opponent is setting up here to have 4 mana on turn 2. This is pretty powerful stuff actually now with the unbanning of Bloodbraid Elf. Turn 2 Bloodbraid cascading into something like land destruction is just so disgusting. So we really don't want to see Bloodbraid here. Well, I do want to see Blood Moon. That's awesome. I think when I play against Ponza, I love to lead with my non-basics because I always have islands in hand, and then I just play them. I'll let the opponent like destroy my non-basics, let him play Blood Moon. It's all pretty funny. Because then I play a bunch of basic islands and play AEther Vial, and they can't do anything about it. Okay, so the game is won at this point. There's pretty much nothing the opponent can do. I'm going to bounce this stupid Arbor Elf. I'm going to play Reejerey. Things are going to get pretty gross pretty fast. So opponent's down to 15. Let's bounce this Arbor Elf. Opponent only has, what, this 1 green source, right? Yeah, 1 green source. Have fun with that. He uses the green source to play out the Arbor Elf, plays another basic mountain, or non-basic mountain, I guess. Alright, Stone Rain on my island is legit, but I've got AEther Vial, so... Aha. Let's take that thing up. Let's attack a second Master of Waves. Alright, so we're swinging for 8. It's going to become 11. And really, I'm sitting at 20. This is just silly. Alright, so 11 and the opponent scooped. So even though we kept a 1-land hand on a mulligan, I mean, fortunately I drew into 2 lands, which was sort of miraculous. But you saw that things got just absurd really fast. Turn 2 Blood Moon, I mean, like, that does nothing against us. So, very easy game 1. I love seeing Ponza. It's like, it just makes my day. Alright, so let's go ahead to game 2, see how that one went. Hey guys, back for game 2. The opponent is going to be on the play here. This is really, really nice. Spreading Seas, as I mentioned, is like a 3-for-1 against Utopia Sprawl. I get to try to bait a Blood Moon again. I think only like the worst Ponza players keep Blood Moon in against Merfolk for games 2 and 3, but maybe this guy is one of those. I don't know. He kept 7, I kept 7. It'd be nice if I drew a 1-drop, I guess. Arbor Elf again. That's their number 1 opening. Another basic island is nice. As I mentioned, I'm going to try to bait their Blood Moon. If I can make them waste turn 2, slamming a Blood Moon. They're already taking themselves down to 16 here. Ugh, alright, so they're setting up for the bonkers opening here. They named red. They get to play Bloodbraid if that's what they have. Oh, Pierre and Kieran. So, playing 4-drops on turn 2 is big game. So, Pierre and Kieran, you don't see it too much in Modern anymore, but basically, it's 4 power entering the board with the ability to shock 2 of my creatures. It makes it really hard for me to play out a Lord, for example, because the opponent will just pay 3 mana, sack a Thopter, and kill my Lord, not losing any card advantage, actually gaining a ton of card advantage because they're pinging one of my best cards and only using a Thopter to do so. So that's actually pretty rough. I do get to take them off of this Utopia Sprawl, but with on-board removal with these Thopters, I'm going to have to tread very, very carefully here. So that Aether Vial is a pretty good draw. Can open up potential lines for, like instant speed, Harbinger, stuff like that. I should show you guys my sideboard playing against these guys. So I took out 2 Reejereys, 2 Kiras, and I brought in 3 Tidebinder Mages and 1 Echoing Truth. Now, Echoing Truth is kind of a catch-all. It can bounce stuff like Thopters, bounce whatever big creature is annoying me. It can bounce multiple Utopia Sprawls. It can sort of can save our creatures if they play Bonfire of the Damned or something like that. But I really don't want 2 in the deck. It's not that important against these guys. They're not coming at us, at our creatures with like lightning bolts a lot, although I can see now that Kira could have been helpful against the Thopters this game. But being on the draw, they're being super aggressive, playing 4-drops on turn 2. Kira might have been a little bit too slow anyway. And Reejerey, if this guy gets bolted, it always feels bad. So you can tend to side out Reejereys against lightning bolt decks. Yep, so that's it. 3 Tidebinder Mages is the big tech coming in against red-green Ponza. So playing Aether Vial is definitely a possible line here, but you want to make optimal use of your mana. I've got plenty of lands. I'm going to be able to cast spells. We will want to play Aether Vial, but we should do it on a turn where we can play a 2-drop and then also play Aether Vial, which will be next turn. So this turn I'm going to take him off of that Utopia Sprawl. If he untaps, plays another land, he's going to get 4 mana from this thing, 5, and then 6, and he can play something really big and scary, like a Inferno Titan or something. But taking him off of this makes it a lot harder. If he plays a land, you're only going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana next turn instead of 6. So I drew another island. Not optimal, but we did draw through that island, which is sitting on top of the deck, which you have to do at some point anyway. So Birds of Paradise. The opponent's just attacking this turn, so slowed down their development with that Spreading Seas, but we're still getting beaten down pretty hard. This is only turn 3. Modern has become really, really fast. Okay, drew a 1-drop. That's going to be good when Aether Vial takes up to 1. So I played Mutavault here, thinking that I can use it to play Aether Vial, but then sort of immediately thought maybe I should have played an island, because I can play 4 blue sources next turn, and if I draw something like a Harbinger or a Tidebinder or another Lord, then I can use 4 blue pretty well. As for this turn, I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to hit this other land with Spreading Seas. The more that I can hurt his development, and the more I can keep him off of red mana for using these Thopters, just seems like the best route to me. All right, so we're going to hit that Stomping Ground. And there's a Tidebinder Mage, which shows that if I had played out an island instead of this Mutavault, my next turn would be much more efficient, where I could play out 2 2-drops. As it stands, it's shaping up to be a little bit awkward, because I actually just played out a spell that I could have used more efficiently next turn. But you know what? If I didn't play the Spreading Seas this turn, and I played something like a Lord instead, the Lord was going to be vulnerable to getting shocked by Pia and Kieran, so it didn't seem like the best line. So I decided not playing a creature right now was optimal, even though I'm getting hit for at least 5 each turn. So that stinks. The opponent did miss 1 land drop, but then they top decked a forest. So my Spreading Seas not doing as much work as they could, and opponent has another annoying threat now. Here's a Thrun. we're probably going to have to do some chumping against this thing. All right, the opponent's just going to get in for 5 again. I have to feel at this point the opponent is feeling pretty confident, and with a decent reason. So another good reason to play out the island last turn instead of Mutavault was if I had drawn another Island Walk Lord, then I could have played 2 of them and played around Pia and Kieran's Shock with 2 3/3s if he doesn't draw another red source. Actually, even if he does draw another red source, he can kill 1 by sacking both Thopters, I guess. Anyhow, just continuing that line of thought about whether or not I should have played out the Mutavault. Okay, Harbinger is another nice interactive creature here. I had to think for a minute about what I want to do. Obviously, I'm going to play out one of these islands. And, you know, if I bounce his Pia and Kieran, he currently can't play it back out. Of course, it's a little bit annoying if he does play it back out because he gets more Thopters. And these guys are always going to be able to get through in the air. And I'm not at a very healthy life total here. So it looks like the line is shaping up to be Harbinger, bounce Pia and Kieran, flash in Cursecatcher to chump the Thrawn, just take 2 from the Thopters and hope the opponent doesn't do anything insane. Now, the reason that I didn't Tidebind the Pia and Kieran, obviously, is that the opponent could just sacrifice a Thopter to kill the Tidebinder Mage, but they can't do that if Pia and Kieran is actually off the battlefield. All right, so that's unfortunately all I can do for my turn. Looks like the opponent's going straight to combat, which is decent for us, I think. As I mentioned, I'm just going to plan on bringing Cursecatcher in, try to throw him under the bus. Looks like the opponent's going to allow it. I take 2 from the Thopters. And no land from the opponent. He's just going Ancient Grudge using his only red source with the Birds of Paradise, destroying my AEther Vial. Now, that's a little bit annoying, but I am going to have a 5th land drop next turn. So I'm not too concerned. I'm a little bit more concerned about how we're going to navigate the next couple turns and not die. Opponent has more action. I did not want to see more action. Okay. The one upside to the opponent playing Tireless Tracker is that he's not making a lot of land drops, so at least he's not going to be drawing a ton of cards off of this guy. Alright, so it's turn 5, and we have 1 creature on the board. What is the play here, guys? Alright, so Reejerey, as you know, gives us access to a lot of value. So we play out Reejerey, attack with Harbinger, right? If he blocks with the Tireless Tracker, then that's great. That's 1 fewer threat that we have to worry about. We can follow up with Tidebinder Mage locking down the Birds of Paradise, which takes him further off of red mana. He would have 0 sources of red mana at that point, taking him... He has 2 cards in hand right now. We know one of them is Pia and Kieran. So taking him off red mana would be pretty solid. So if he blocked the Harbinger, we'd still have Reejerey on board. Follow up the Tidebinder Mage. Somebody might have to block Thrun. Might be the Tidebinder Mage. If he blocks. So anyhow, if he doesn't block, what we get to do is just play Tidebinder Mage, name the Tireless Tracker, untap Harbinger with the Reejerey trigger. So either way, seems like Reejerey attack is sort of the best way to go about it. The opponent chose not to block, which I think is actually in our favor here. We want to have creatures on the board, and him taking that damage actually given our hand puts us within lethal next turn, because if I go ahead and play this Tidebinder Mage out, untap Harbinger, if we do the math, we're going to see that I have access to lethal damage next turn. The opponent is going all the way down from 16 to 0 in the space of just a couple attack steps from me having 1 creature on the board. If I play this Lord out, we're going to have 4, 4, 3, and 3. So it's 8 plus 6, which is 14. Actually, let me do that again. It's 4, it's going to be 4, 4, 4, and 3, which is 15. So Tidebinder's going to lock down the tireless tracker, and we just sort of have to hope that the opponent doesn't have like Bolt. Bolt would be disgusting because he can hit the Reejerey. Even if we play out a Lord, then he's still cracking in with Thrun and these Thopters, like just sort of pounding our board. All right, so he's just getting in with these guys. Now, I had to do a little bit of thinking because obviously 6 damage puts us within bolt range, and we haven't seen a single lightning bolt. I'm pretty sure at post board they have to have 4 lightning bolts in their deck. They do have red mana with Birds of Paradise. So if I take 6, Bolt kills us. We know that one of the cards in his hand is Pia and Kieran, and he hasn't been playing lands, which means that he's got something in his hand, but maybe he has like a couple of 6-drops in his hand, and he hasn't been able to get to them. Now, if I block the Thrun, say with Harbinger, right? Tidebinder's more valuable at this point, locking down the tireless tracker. And I play the Lord next turn, I'm only going to have 4, 4, and 3, which is 11, which is not lethal. Now, given that I have 5 lands on the board, if I draw into a second Lord of Atlantis, of course I can just play a Lord, untap, play a Lord, and then it would be 5, 5, and 4 attacking, which would be enough. Even if I drew a Reejerey, I think we would be able to get there because we could tap 3 lands, maybe the left 3 lands, right? And then untap one of our lands, so we'd have 3 left. Follow up with the Lord of Atlantis, untap 2 lands, do whatever we want with the untap, and then swing with Mutavault. And then we would get... So basically what I'm getting at is, if I block Thrun in order to put myself out of lightning bolt range, I'm chumping. I would need to top deck another Lord, but it could be any Lord. It could be... I have 7 more Island Walk Lords in the deck and 3 more Reejerey, so that's 10 outs. Is a little less than like a 25% chance to top deck a Lord. But given that the opponent has 2 cards in hand that we don't know about, it just seems a stronger play to go with the guaranteed lethal that I have with the Lord of Atlantis. I mean, it's possible the opponent just has a Courser of Krufix in hand or something like that. So in the end, I decided I didn't want to risk being able to win next turn. I have a 100% chance in my hand of winning next turn. If I block, that goes down to like a 25% chance. So I'm at 2. I took the damage. Let's see if the opponent has a lightning bolt. He just passes the turn. So it's possible he's sandbagging the lightning bolt, but that would be a little bit silly, given that I could draw into counter magic or something like that. So I was starting to feel pretty good at this point. I can play an island and play a Spreading Seas just to get a perfect on his lands for the game. See if I draw anything interesting. Actually, it's not totally useless. Well, it probably is, because the only counter magic I have is Spell Pierce, post board against these guys right now, so if they have a lightning bolt, not countering it anyway. I just drew another land. All right, so we're just hoping that they don't have a lightning bolt. With the Reejerey trigger, I targeted the birds just to sort of force the issue, and the opponent floated green, which made me feel pretty good. I guess he could flash back Ancient Grudge or something like that, but that can't even target Spreading Seas. So starting to feel better and better. Go to combat, activate Mutavault, and swing in 4, as I mentioned. Well, no, actually, this is I think I counted wrong. It was, I said 4, 4, 4, and 2 or something. So it's actually 17. So is that right? No, it's 15. 15. I did count correct. It's 12 plus 3. Sorry, guys, it's getting a little late here, but I was sharp during the game and managed to navigate that game pretty well, I thought. Turn 2, Pia and Kieran. I managed to deal with it. They had a Thrun, Ancient Grudge, my AEther Vial. Spreading Seas doing a great job. Totally possible the opponent we know for sure had a double red spell in their hand that they were unable to play out because they didn't have enough access to red mana with only a single Birds of Paradise. So as I mentioned, this is possibly our best matchup in Modern right now, so you guys should be really happy when you run into it. Spreading Seas is an all-star, Master of Waves is an all-star, Tidebinder Mage is an all-star, and you really can't go wrong with things like Harbinger of the Tides and just a bunch of lords. You know, there's really no bad draws in our deck against red-green Ponza. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the match. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please check out my Patreon page and tune in for the next video where I'll be going to the 4th and final round of this Modern Competitive League with a chance to go 4-1. I'll see you guys there.